So in ionic, how to, in exam, if a question is draw the ionic structure. So how to draw an ionic structure in exam, like example, if I say draw structure of calcium chloride. What are the steps you will follow? Number one, work out the formula of ionic compound. So first you will work out the formula of the ionic compound. In this example, if you want to draw the structure of calcium chloride. So calcium symbol is Ca, chloride symbol is Cl. Calcium belongs to group 1, group 2. So if it belongs to group 2, it's +2. Chlorine belongs to group 7, it is -1. When valencies are not same, we cross multiply the valencies. So this 1 will come with calcium and this 2 will come with chlorine, and the compound formula will be calcium chloride, means CaCl2. So first work out the formula of ionic compound which we worked out. So calcium chloride is CaCl2. Now second step, draw the same number of atoms of each element present in the formula and show valence electrons. So according to this formula, I have 1 calcium and 2 chlorides. So what I have to do, I have to draw 1 calcium and 2 chlorides. So this is calcium, the nucleus of a calcium, and I don't have to draw all the electrons. This is just the valence, the last shell. And how many electrons will be there in the last shell for calcium? It will have 2 electrons. Then I have to draw 2 chlorine or 2 chloride ions, atoms first. These are the 2 chloride atoms. Chlorine belongs to group 7, so it should have 7 electrons. And if I use cross for calcium electrons, I should use dot for chlorine. Different symbols. These are the last shells or valence shells. Chlorine belongs to group 7. Is it clear till now? So first what we did, we work out the formula of ionic compound. After working out the formula of ionic compound, draw the same number of atoms for each element present in the formula. And then show the valence electrons. Valence electron means number of electrons in the last shell. Then the third step, you will show the electron transfer from metal to non-metal. So this chlorine required 1 electron because already 7 are there, non-metal, complete octet or try to complete octet. So what will happen? One of the electron will jump here and the one of the electron jump to another chlorine. So this is a electron transfer. I don't have to draw electron both sides, just an arrow to show the electron transfer. Means one of the electron of calcium transfer to one chlorine atom, and the second electron transfer to the second chlorine or chloride atom. And then the fourth step, draw the ions with charge. So if calcium is losing 2 electrons, if calcium lost 2 electrons, so what will be the charge on the calcium?
Positive 2.
It will be positive 2. And you don't have to show the valence, the last shell electron, because they are already lost. So calcium will be plus 2. And chlorine, now they gain electron, each gain 1 electron. So each chloride ion will have a -1 charge. So this is Cl, this is Cl. Dots you use for chlorine electrons, the last shell. And 1 electron it gained from calcium, so it will be 1 will be cross. Dot for all 7 electrons for chlorine, and 1 extra it took from calcium, so cross. This will be -1, this will also be -1. So this is the final structure which you have to draw in exam. So what we did, I repeat, first we work out the formula of ionic compound. How you work out the formula we discussed already, that how to write a formula of ionic compound. So first you will work out the formula of ionic compound. Then you will draw the same number of atoms of each element present in the formula and show the valence electron. Valence electron means number of electron in the last shell. Then show electron transfer from metal to non-metal. Metal should lose all of its electron, and non-metal will gain electron to complete it octet. Octet means 8 electron in the outermost shell. And then at the last you will draw again. If a metal is losing 2 electron, then it will be +2. If it is losing 1 electron, it will be +1. If it is losing 3 electron, then it will be +3. Same thing, if a non-metal, each atom, if get 1 electron, it will be -1, 2 electron, it will be -2, and 3 electron, it will be -3. So in this one, each atom, why does this process occur? Because metal have a tendency to lose electron. Metal electrons are free, it's not tightly bonded. That's why metal tend to lose electron. And non-metal, they have greater attraction towards the electron, so they tend to attract electron. So the attraction, metal is trying to lose this electron, and non-metal is trying to gain this electron. That's why this process happen or occur. Another example I will give. So if a question is draw an ionic structure of, you can first take a screenshot, then I'll move on. So if a question is draw ionic structure of aluminium oxide. So if you want to draw an ionic structure of aluminium oxide, so first step, what is the first step? Work out the formula of ionic compound. So what is the formula of aluminium oxide? How we'll work out? We'll write the symbol for aluminium. We'll write the symbol for oxygen. Aluminium belongs to group 3, so it is 3 plus or +3. Oxygen belongs to group 6, so it is -2 or 2 minus. Same thing, no difference. Then cross multiply the valencies. So what will be the formula of aluminum oxide? It will be Al2O3. So means we have to draw 2 aluminum and 3 oxygen. Then the second step, draw the same number of atoms of each element present in the formula. So I have to draw 2 aluminum and 3 oxygen. So this is 1, 2. These are the nucleus, and then I will draw the shell, the last shell. This is only the last shell. This is not the full structure of aluminum. Then oxygen, I have to draw 3 oxygen. Aluminium belongs to group 3, so there will be 3 electron. So you can use dot or you can use cross. So 3 electron in each. And oxygen belongs to group 6. So if it belongs to group 6, it will have 6 electron. So each will have 6 dots. Means 6 electron in the outermost shell. Now, aluminum will lose all of its valence electron and oxygen will gain electron to complete octet or 8. 6 are already there. So how many electrons it required to complete octet? It needs 2 extra electrons to complete its octet. Because when 8 electron in the last shell, the electrons are not repelling each other too much, so they are more stable. So what happened? There will be a transfer of electron. Aluminium is in group 3 and oxygen is in group 6. Why the valency is -2? Because if you remember the groups, for metals the valencies are positive and for non-metal the valencies are negative. So group 1, the valency is +1. Group 2, the valency is +2. Group 3, the valency is +3. Group 4, the valency is -4. Group 5, the valency is -3. Group 6, the valency is -2. Group 7, the valency is -1. And group 8, the valency is 0. So aluminum will lose electron. Oxygen, each oxygen required 2 electrons to be stable. So one it took from first and this second. Now it cannot take any extra electron because this will make 8 electron. Now what happened to this electron? The other aluminum will take. So 1, 2. And same thing 1, 2. Is it clear? The transfer of electron from aluminum to oxygen, because each aluminum required, each oxygen required 2 electron to be stable, so it is taking from aluminum. But aluminum is having 3 electron, so 2 of them is giving to one atom and remaining 1 is giving to another one. So when there is a complete transfer of electrons, so we are showing the electron transfer. So we showed the electron transfer from metal to non-metal, and then at the last we draw the ions with the charge. So in this case, because aluminum lost and oxygen gain electron. So as the aluminium lost 3 electrons, so the charge will be +3 on aluminium. And there is no valence electron. The electron in the last cell are being lost, so there is no valence electron. For what about oxygen? Each oxygen, 6 electrons already belongs to oxygen. And 2 electrons it took from aluminium. We should use a different symbols. -2, -2, -2. So this is the final structure of aluminium oxide. Is it clear? How to draw the structure of ionic compound such as aluminium oxide. So I will give a question, you will solve and send your answers on the group. At the last, I will give you some questions. So this is how to draw an ionic compound, ionic structure. You can take a screenshot. Then existence of how ionic compound exists. So how these ionic compound exist, like example, when we draw example, we did sodium chloride. So I drew one sodium which was having a positive charge, and then I drew a chloride which is having a negative charge. This is the electron transfer. When we showed the electron transfer, electron lost by sodium is electron gained by chlorine, and it will form a sodium chloride ionic bond attraction. But ionic compound does not exist like one sodium ion will be there and one chloride. There are millions of sodium ion and millions of chloride ion held together by a strong force in a regular structure, and what we call that as a lattice. So means you will have many sodium and chloride ions together this regular arrangement of positive and negative ions is known as the lattice. So example, the black one is representing the positive ions. Blue is representing the negative ions. And this regular arrangement of positive and negative ions, what we call that as a lattice. So the term lattice means is a regular arrangement of the particles. So all these ionic compounds, they exist as a lattice. And between the ions, there's a strong force which is known as electrostatic. Strong electrostatic force. The term electrostatic is always refers to force between the charges. Hold the ions together. So whenever, like example, if sodium chloride, this is how one sodium bonded with one chloride, but there are millions of sodium and millions of chloride bonded together and arrange themselves in a regular geometry or structure. We call that as a lattice. And you have to learn the properties of ionic compounds. If any ionic compound is there, it will have these properties. Number one, they're usually solid at room temperature. Number two, they have high melting and boiling point. Usually soluble in water or dissolve in water. Number four, does not conduct electricity. In solid, can conduct in aqueous or molten state. So ionic compound does not conduct electricity in solid but can conduct electricity in molten or aqueous state. What is the reason why in solid the ionic compound cannot conduct? Is it clear the concept of a lattice? So ionic compound, they exist as a lattice, and these are some properties of the ionic compound, but you will find this a very common question they ask: why ionic compound conduct electricity, does not conduct electricity in solid but can conduct in aqueous or molten state? So what is the reason for that? First take a screenshot, then I'll move on. So reason for that, why the ionic compound does not conduct electricity in solid but it can conduct in aqueous or molten state, because in solid Ions can only vibrate, but not free to. So in solid state, the ions can only vibrate, but they're not free to move. Like you can see the structure here. These ions, like this positive ion, cannot move from one place to another. It will remain here. It can only vibrate, but it cannot move from one place to another. There's no movement. But in why in molten or aqueous, molten here refers to melted form, or aqueous. In molten or aqueous, ions are free to move, so it can conduct electricity. So like example, if you take a container and this container is filled with water, and you have a crystals, you have a salt crystals. So example, pink salt crystals are there. In this solid salt crystals, the ions are not free to move. But when you dissolve in water, what will happen? Ions will separate from each other. Some places you will have positive. So ions are separated from each other when you dissolve. So as you dissolve, ions separated from each other, it means ions are free to move. So if I pass the current, the ions can move. As the ions can move, it can conduct electricity. So in solid state, the ions are not free to move. That's why it is not able to conduct electricity. But in molten or aqueous, ions are free to move. So it can conduct electricity. Is it clear? Why in a solid the ionic compound cannot conduct electricity, but in molten or aqueous, it can conduct electricity. Now some questions, I will give you some questions. You have to draw the structure, ionic structure of those compounds, and send it on the group. This is related to the first part which I explained beginning, like showing the number transfer electron. So draw the ionic structure for sodium bromide, sodium or lithium oxide, calcium or potassium nitride. Nitride means nitrogen. Calcium chloride, magnesium oxide, calcium nitride, aluminium bromide or fluoride,
Ionic structure is to draw ionic bond.
The ionic structure of sodium bromide, all of this.
Drawing a ionic bond. Like,
Here, the ionic bond, not the lattice. So draw the ionic bond of sodium bromide, lithium oxide, potassium nitride, calcium chloride, magnesium oxide, calcium nitride, aluminum chloride, aluminum sulfide, and aluminum nitride. Means this type of structure. It will take time. So once you are done, just send your answers on the group and I will check, because it might take 30 minutes to do all this, as you will do for first time. And I will identify and discuss if anyone having a doubt related to these structures. I will discuss in a tomorrow's class.